Hello everybody, welcome to Lil Gator Game, and along with Lil Gator Game, I have an announcement to make, which is I bought Xbox Live Game Pass, PC Game Pass, Infinite Games. They offered me 1 month for £1, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I'll go with that. So I've got 30 days to record as many Xbox PC Game Pass games as possible. And then it runs out. So this is Little Gator Game. This is a little cute little Game Pass game that I have actually played a little bit of before because I already recorded this video once and I just had a little bit of an issue with the recording, so hopefully that's solved now, and if it isn't, well, you're getting it in the condition it's in anyway, so not my problem basically. So this is one of those cute little games that, like, it's kind of funny to me because a lot of older games are kind of based on the experiences that devs had playing pretend as children, because games are made by adults for children a lot of the time. Like games like Mario, games like The Legend of Zelda, games like what else is there? Why can't I think of any? Pokemon. And I know I've just listed Nintendo games, but there's plenty others, right? So I kind of find this game interesting because it's a game where you play as a character who is playing pretend, and along the way there are many like references to games. It's kind of like a circle, right? Like, because this is a game where you play pretend and it makes reference to games that were inspired by developers who played pretend when they were kids. For example, Zelda is a game where was it Aonuma? Aonuma was like, oh, I used to play pretend in my garden and I made Zelda so that, you know, people could kind of spread rumors about the game and kind of learn about it, you know, kind of collectively and explore, and like it really feels like an adventure. And this is a game where we're playing as a character who is playing pretend. So it's kind of interesting and like self-referential in that way. Pokemon was a game created by a guy who I don't remember the name of, who wanted to kind of emulate the experience of bug catching in his back garden. I find that kind of story really interesting and really appealing because it's interesting to see where these games kind of come from. And so this is an interesting game just from that perspective of, like, you know, it's a game that's doing what... It's a game that's doing something which games were derived from. Like, textually, it's doing what games were derived from, but literally, like, like, within our universe, it's just a game. It's really weird. Or maybe it's just a game, I don't know. Maybe it's just a game and it's not that deep. I don't know. But now we've got a wooden sword. There's some really cool stuff in this game. You get, like, to shield surf. At a certain point you unlock shield surfing, but it's like shield surfing but mega, because the thing with Breath of the Wild shield surfing is, like, it's cool, but it is also super slow. You only get, like, real speed if you're going downhill, and your shield also breaks very easily unless you're going down, like, snow. What's he saying? Oh, yeah, I'll buy a beauty. There we go, we get a bracelet. The bracelet helps you climb, which is also a cool little mechanic. I don't need to equip it, it comes equipped. And then as you start unlocking more things in the game, it makes it faster to unlock more things in the game, which means you just get a bunch of cool stuff. But in this game, I really like how, I guess, loose the controls are. because let's get this hat. I really like this. It's like a slime. I really like how loose the controls are. Like, you'll see it when I finally get some of the like more movementy kind of unlocks, but the game is very fast in the way that you like move around, but it's fast and it's kind of loose. Like a lot of games that are very, very fast require like skill to maintain that fast, but in this game you just kind of bolt. You just kind of go extremely quick because I guess it's more fun that way. At least I think it's more fun. There are a few games like that. Like, I don't know, there's an interesting thing with what's it called? With the Big Catch. The tackle box I played on this channel before. I think I said like my game of the year is here or whatever, and then World of Goo 2 came out and it was actually like my game of the year. Yeah, so you get this shield and like you just go really fast and you can jump off of it and like convert that momentum into more stuff, and it's just like it's very fast for very little like skill. Like even going uphill I'm gaining speed. The Big Catch is kind of in an interesting place where you get the speed really easily and it's easy to maintain that speed, but it's hard to convert it. Like the skill is in converting that speed into usually vertical progress, because a lot of the game is about climbing. So I kind of like that like medium where you can go really fast and you can enjoy the speed of it, but you need the skill to like use that speed for something more. Whereas I've played games where maybe the fast part of it is unintentional, right? Like it's not as intended of a game mechanic that you can go as fast as you actually can, either by exploiting the momentum or whatever, where gaining the speed is hard, maintaining the speed is hard, and converting that speed into anything else is also hard. Like I've played games where you could completely play through them start to finish and just not, you know, kind of harness that ability to go quickly at all. But this is a game where like you couldn't mess it up. It's always easy all the time, and I like that. Like it's fun, and this is not a game that's meant to be played necessarily for a long time. Like it's maybe a half-hour long game. I can't find my friend, so it's gonna take a bit longer than that if I were to beat it. Avery, where's Avery? I've done this quest already, but I don't remember where to find Avery. But yeah, like this is a game you're not meant to play necessarily for a long time. You definitely can. I've seen speedruns of this game. They're super duper cool. I think Shovel Claws did a speedrun it. I don't know what marathon it was. I want to say GDQ, but it might not have been GDQ, and then I've just like, you know, got it wrong. But I'm pretty sure it did a run somewhere. But yeah, I watched that and I was like, wow, this game looks super cool, but it also looks like a speed game, and that was wrong of me, because I think like this game is clearly intentioned. The clear intention in the gameplay is to be like, obviously every game's meant to be fun, but there are some games that you can kind of tell are designed with speedrunners in mind. This game might have been, like, I can't speak for the devs, but I think it definitely doesn't take away from, or like it's not super obvious in its gameplay, because as I'm playing this, I feel like all of the momentum and speed shenanigans, while those are like fun for a speedrunner, they seem quite intentionally to be here to be fun for me, not me specifically, but you know what I mean. These are things that are fun for the casual players and cool for the speedrunners. I don't know where to go. I'm just gonna talk to... Okay, no, that doesn't do anything. I don't know. Maybe I need to go up that mountain. That's probably it. Hi, Jill. Jill's a dog. I'm a gator, I think. I never was able to tell the difference between a gator and a crocodile. I'm pretty sure... No, I'm not gonna say, because I'm gonna say something like, oh, I think alligators do this, and then it's actually, no, that's what a crocodile does, you fucking idiot. But also, like, this is a game where I'm playing as a little kid and I'm going outside. When I was a kid, it's not that I never went outside, it's that I kind of thought it was overrated. There's a lot of, like, I've said before, maturing, in my opinion, is like learning that all the stuff you were told to do as a kid is actually, like, all the stuff that you thought was overrated is actually pretty sick. Like, going outside, going on walks, stuff like that. Like, as a kid, I did go outside. I had friends. But, you know, I wouldn't just go for a walk when I was a kid. That was like, no, I have to be doing something if I'm going to go outside. But now I feel like it's pretty good to just get out, and it's nice to do that. Now, there's a lot of things like that. Like, when I was in high school, I did pretty well without studying too hard. Eventually, it got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to study if I want to, like, do well on these exams. But for the most part, I would go through the year not really studying. I get to university, I'm like, actually, studying is like, good. It doesn't have to be a chore. Like, it can be really stressful if you have, like, an exam coming up. But on an average day, where you're not the most busy, you know, you're not doing a 9 to 5, right? On a day where you're not doing that, studying can be really rewarding, because you go in the next day and you remember the stuff and you're like, damn, I know this. When in my first year of university, I'd show up to classes not having read the content, and it's fine because I figured it out. Like, I learned it in the class. But, and you might think like, oh, well, if you're going to the class and you're learning the content they're covering, then you don't really need to study ahead of time, right? Because you'll end up at the end of the lesson knowing the content. Whereas if you went in knowing the content, you know, what was the point of the lesson? But that's actually not really how it works. This is kind of like what my perspective was when I first started going to university classes. That's actually not how it works, because just because you, like, learn something and you understand it doesn't mean you know everything about it. Doesn't mean that you've learned it to the fullest extent that you can. And the other thing is, oh my god. He's fine. He's good. I'm good. Had me worried for a second there. Yeah. This is where you get the ragdoll toy. I can't... Okay, I've got to get more stuff so I can buy it. But basically, learning stuff so that you can impart your wisdom onto others is a great way to learn. Because, you know, there's always more to learn. Maybe you've comprehensively learned a subject. I do believe that that is possible, but generally speaking, your understanding is somewhere between being comfortable with it and being an expert on it, and you can always go up from being comfortable on it. So I think, you know, it's a good idea to study ahead of time before the class, because, you know, if you come out being like 90% comfortable, well, you could go from being 90% comfortable at the start of the lesson to being 100% comfortable, but also like 75% of an expert. And we're not talking about super complicated stuff here, because a lot of university is not super complicated stuff. It's just applying that knowledge. A lot of high school teaches you to learn. Like, history is a class, at least in Scotland, at least when I did it, was a class very much focused around learning, particularly with the way a lot of teachers teach. It's not that they don't want you to come to conclusions on your own and they don't want you to analyze on your own. They do want you to do that, but they're happy to give you answers. My English teachers were always very happy to just tell me what to write in the exam. They would spend a lot of time saying like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? But you know, when it came down to it and the exams were a month away, they were like, here's some things you can write. Write these down in your essays. And that's good at getting people to pass exams, and it's good at showing people's capacity to, you know, remember stuff and gain knowledge. And having knowledge is important. It's just less important than it used to be, because it used to be in the past that if you knew stuff, well, that was good, because people didn't just know stuff all the time. But the thing is, with the advent of the internet, it's like, okay, how valuable is knowing stuff? How valuable is it to know stuff when I can find anything out very, very quickly using my mobile phone, right? Knowing stuff is still valuable, but it's certainly a lot less than applying stuff, right? About having skills. Okay, but then you look at it and you're like, well, you know, what good is a skill that you've learned when everybody else who's done your degree has learned it, right? Like, what distinguishes you from the other people who have that skill? Well, it's, I think, in my opinion, being able to pick up new skills and learn new things is a skill unto itself, and a very valuable one, and one that's really rewarding to learn. Like, get out of the mindset of like, this is from a job perspective, because I don't love how much school, education, and work are kind of like intermingled. And I realize that that's the way it is, because practically a lot of people are going to university because they want to then apply those skills and stuff that they learn in university to a job. But from my perspective, just purely out of the love of learning and the love of like education, because I'm not necessarily always the hugest fan of the institution of academia, but at least the, you know, broader concepts behind learning and knowledge, those are fun and interesting to me. I think that being able to pick up new skills is a very valuable thing, because it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to learn new things and do new things and get better at things. This is one of the reasons that I have jumped from hobby to hobby so much, is because that initial incline, because when you're new to something, you pick stuff up so quickly, and with a lot of things, there will be eventually be a plateau. Getting to the plateau, realizing you're at the plateau, and then moving on to the next thing is a lot easier than getting over the hump, right? It's a lot easier than getting over that plateau. It's not as rewarding. There are some things that I've stuck with until I get over the plateau, but then there's another plateau coming, always. But that's fine. But like with a lot of things, pick it up for a while, get pretty good at it, move on to the next thing. And I'm happy for that to be my experience with some things, because, you know, I don't necessarily want to do the same thing forever and just kind of infinitely improve on that skill. You know, I like to be multi-talented. Talent is not usually the word I use. A lot of people have made this distinction, like, oh, talent is gifted, skill is earned. Like, I don't necessarily think that, because I think a lot of time when people say talent, they know that they've worked for it, right? When people say that, like, oh, this man is a talented pianist, I don't think they're genuinely saying like he's a gifted pianist. Like, you would use the word gifted, right? If that's what you actually meant, you would use a different word. I think a lot of the time people say talent when they mean this person has put a lot of work in, they're very skilled. The reason I wouldn't use talented is because I think, broadly speaking, I'm not particularly talented at anything, but that's fine, because I'm not trying to be. I don't want to, like, you know, choose one thing to like go into and just like become really good at that. I kind of like the variety, and it is the spice of life, I've heard. Some people have told me that. So yeah, I think I've waffled long enough on this specific subject. Let me know what you think about the various ideas at play there. Did it speak to you? Did it not make sense? I don't know how clear I've come across there, but it is an interesting topic, I think, at least, which is kind of you know, about going out and doing things and trying new things and learning, which is probably what some of us were put on Earth to do, which is to learn. Not to say necessarily that, you know, we are put here with intention, because I don't necessarily believe that. But when I say, you know, I was put on Earth to do this, which is not something I would usually say. I've never said, oh, I was put on Earth to make Melon Keeper Gold, although it has been something that I'm particularly dedicated to. I wouldn't necessarily say I was put on Earth to do any one thing in particular, but, you know, were I to say that, I don't mean some kind of, like, cosmic destiny or necessarily intention in the universe. It's not that I think it's impossible that the universe was built with intention. It's a really appealing thought to think that this amazing thing that just works, like, you know, how many things need to work out for life to exist, is like an incredible thing. I think it's a nice thought to think that there could be intention behind it, because if you had the ability to create what Earth is, wouldn't you do it? Right? Like, I think I would. I don't know if I would create it in the same way that it exists now, but, you know, I would rather have it than not have it. It's an interesting thing. I don't believe in God, but I'm not, you know, I'm not closed off from the idea. I just don't find, you know, arguments or evidence where it exists, if it exists, for the existence of a creator of the universe. I don't find it very appealing, but certainly not closed off from it. I don't like the idea that I've, you know, 21 years of age, made up my mind on that, because I think there's so much more universe to explore. There's so much more to learn, and, you know, I'm open to the idea that I could be wrong. So I don't believe in a creator of the universe, but I also don't believe that I know better, right? I think that the universe is vast, and it's kind of yeah, well, there you go. Let me know your thoughts on any of the things I've said in this video, and I will see you later. Bye now!